Many people in society today always have an excuse for why they cannot do something. They either blame someone or blame their own circumstance they are in. Doing this will never get you anywhere in life. And Nietzsche saw this as a sign of weakness. He believed that you should be able to overcome any life struggle that comes your way and not to whine when times get hard. In life, we have developed this mindset that everything should be easy and handed to us. We run away from struggle and are afraid of taking risk. Nietzsche would have said that this is unacceptable. We should not complain about our life struggles. Instead, Nietzsche admired people who did not self-pity and instead actually overcame the challenges life gives you. One of Nietzsche's most famous ideas is ressentiment, which means an emotion always directed away from the self towards others. Weak people will always complain and say things are unfair due to their abilities, but the strong will not make excuses and still thrive to become great. This is the elite man who doesn't cry and complain, but instead keeps fighting every single day. Take master versus slave morality. The master is the type of person who is ambitious and values strength. The master does not complain, does not doubt, does not give up when times get hard. Now take the slave. The person who complains is weak and never change because they value being weak than strong. They say strong is evil, but this is only because they are jealous and envy towards the strong. They want to become like the strong, but they cannot change their circumstance and their habits. They keep repeating the same bad habits over and over again. They never learn, and this is why they complain and never change and will always stay weak in Nietzsche's eye. Nietzsche believed in amor fati, love of fate, which means to accept life challenges instead of complaining all the time. Life was never meant to be easy for anyone. Sure, some people might have a head start in life, but that does not mean they don't have struggles that they have to overcome. Everyone's life is different with different struggles and abilities. We have to learn to overcome these struggles and not become the weak. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. Think back to your ancestors. Did they throw in the towel when times got hard? No. So why should you? When I go on my 8 a.m. run on Mondays, anytime I feel the urge to stop, I think back to my ancestors and back to their struggles, and this keeps me going. Anytime you get the sense of quitting, just take a moment and think, what would my ancestors do? Or even a Stoic, like Seneca. I have this poster that reminds me, what would Seneca do? Nietzsche believed in the will to power, which means overcoming and not complaining like the weak do. Anytime you complain, what happens? Do you feel better afterwards? Or do you feel the same? Do you accomplish anything when you complain except waste time? Complaining is a waste of time. And if you saw my recent video, I talk about how you really do not have a lot of time. So anytime you complain, that is time you have wasted. And for what? So what should you do? Well, stop complaining and take responsibility and change. Second, you want hard things in life. This will build you into a stronger person. Let's say you had a breakup. You don't just jump into another relationship. Instead, you move on. No crying, just move on. And you focus on the things you care about in life. Now, Nietzsche wasn't against relationships, but he warned against relationships that weaken you. He saw love as a potential distraction from the will to power, your drive to grow, create, and dominate life. If a relationship makes you needy, dependent, or weak, then it's a problem. But if it challenges you, pushes you to improve, and adds to your strength, then it aligns with his philosophy. I want to do a conclusion basically explaining what Nietzsche's saying. So let's take a step back and really look at what Nietzsche philosophy tells us, especially in terms of overcoming weakness. At the core of it, Nietzsche is saying something that might be difficult to hear, but it's exactly what a lot of us need. Stop complaining. Complaining is the easy way out. It's the response of the weak. When we complain, we give ourselves permission to stay weak, to stay stuck in our own circumstance. Nietzsche would argue that life is not here to serve us, and it's certainly not meant to be easy. So why should we treat it as if it should be? Think about it for a second. How often do you hear people say, "I just can't do this," or "it's not fair"? They look around and say that someone else is to blame, or their situation is just too hard to overcome. This is what Nietzsche calls resentment, this bitterness and frustration that gets directed outward. When you complain, you are not looking inward to fix the problem. You are letting your energy go towards resentment and not towards growth. But here's the thing, complaining doesn't solve anything. When you complain, what do you actually accomplish? You feel like you are venting, but the reality is that you feel the same afterwards. And the problem is still there. It's not going anywhere. Time keeps ticking, and the only thing you've done is wasted. And if you watched my previous videos, you know I'm big on time management. You don't have time to waste on complaining. The more you focus on problems, the less time you have to solve them. Stop complaining, take responsibility, find a solution, and get to work. This ties directly into what Nietzsche calls the will to power. The will to power is about embracing struggle, rising to challenges, and not shrinking away from hard things. Hard things don't break you, they make you. When you are faced with adversity, and instead of complaining, you take action, you build strength. This is where growth happens. Look at your life right now. What are you avoiding? What are you complaining about? Is it a tough job, a relationship? Nietzsche would say that this is exactly where you need to focus. If you can embrace the hard stuff and keep moving forward, even when it's uncomfortable, that's when you start to tap into your true potential. And it doesn't matter if it's a breakup, a career setback. Don't whine about it. Don't run from it. And don't let it define you. Accept it, face it, and move through it. That's how you rise above. And speaking of relationships, Nietzsche wasn't against them, but he certainly had a strong warning. He believed that relationships can be a major distraction from your will to power if they make you weak. It's one thing to have a partnership that challenges you, pushes you to grow, and supports your ambitions. But it's another thing to find yourself in a relationship where you feel needy, dependent, or held back. If a relationship drains you, it's time to reevaluate whether it's helping you become the best version of yourself. And if it doesn't add to your strength, then maybe it's time to step away and focus on your growth. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should avoid relationships altogether, but what I'm saying is make sure your relationship supports your goals, not take away from them. If they cause unnecessary trauma, stress, distraction, those aren't relationships that are serving you. They are weighing you down. And in Nietzsche's eyes, that's a problem. The goal is not to become attached to anything that keeps you from growing. Whether that's a job, a friend, or yes, even a romantic relationship. If you find that your life is becoming a series of distractions, you are not focusing on what truly matters, your own power, your own growth. Now let's talk about the reality of life itself. Nietzsche didn't sugarcoat things. He didn't tell us that everything would be perfect if we just kept working hard. He said that life is suffering, and part of that suffering is accepting it. That's what he meant by amor fati, or the love of fate. Life doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't care about your feelings, your wants, or your complaints. But what does it offer? The chance to build strength through struggle. When you stop fighting against your circumstance and instead embrace them, that's when you truly start living with power. Whatever life throws at you, whether it's a personal failure, a loss, a tough decision, that's your opportunity to get stronger. Look at it as a chance to become better, not to complain about how unfair things are. No one is going to hand you a perfect life, and that's a good thing. The challenges you face are what will define your character and ultimately shape your future. So next time you find yourself complaining, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Stop complaining. Stop making excuses. Stop waiting for life to give you an easy ride. Embrace the discomfort and keep pushing forward, because that's when you find your true power. And remember, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's real. If you start taking responsibility for your life and your actions, you'll see changes, and others will too. So get out there and make it happen. The world is waiting for you to claim your power. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe. I have more videos coming out soon. Hope you all have a great day. Thank you for the support. I wanted to put disclaimers in this video because for some reason my camera's messed up. I don't know why. So if you did enjoy this video, be sure to like, subscribe. I'm going to try to fix it, but as you can see, it's kind of blurry. I don't know what's going on. Streamlabs, reset, and my settings are all just messed up. But I will try to fix it. But until then, I'll just be doing pictures. If you don't like that, let me know in the comments. But be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below what else you want to see.